What is happening at the WIDER Shipyard? The videos I've produced about WIDER have accrued over 2 million views in total, and the WIDER Superyacht itself is by far the most commented on in this YouTube channel. So you may wonder why it is. I haven't been talking about them that much recently. The reason for that is that WIDER have gone through somewhat of a turbulent patch, which resulted in a change of management and ultimately a change of ownership. Now, if you're a regular viewer of this channel, you'll know that if I don't have anything good to say about a yacht or about a yacht builder, I just don't talk about it at all. This YouTube channel is here to market yachts, not to critique them. And as much as it pains me to say it, because I love the WIDER brand, I love the WIDER concept and everything they stand for a little while it was difficult to understand just what was going on there. Now though, there have been some significant changes at the shipyard, and I couldn't be happier to report back to you on what those changes are, new models that have been released, and why I believe that once again WIDER is a company well worth the consideration of yacht buyers like your good selves. Here is my report on what is happening at WIDER. Earlier this year, the WIDER 165 received recognition for her forward-thinking design and energy-efficient propulsion from judges at the World Superyacht Awards, where she was named the best displacement motor yacht between 300 and 499 gross tons. And her predecessor, the WIDER 150, received 2 trophies at these awards in 2016, one of which was for technological innovation. In addition to the diesel-electric propulsion, the most eye-catching features of the existing WIDER fleet are their expansive beach clubs, some of the largest available for boats of their size. And perhaps most strikingly, these beach clubs have sea-water pools which open up in order for the WIDER 32 tender to be driven in. It's like something straight out of a James Bond movie. The brand was conceived to help owners to make the most of their life on the water, optimizing access to the sea through these distinctive beach clubs and expanding onboard space through a series of fold-out platforms which come into their own when at anchor, opening up into sea terraces and additional seating areas. At the same time, WIDER has sought to provide quieter, more efficient, greener cruising. Now, the new president of the shipyard is called Marcello Maggi, and when he was interviewed by the press, he said that it was the WIDER 165's silence, its lack of vibration and emissions, and its operation when running on batteries that sealed the deal for him, emphasizing that it's not cool anymore for superyachts to burn thousands of litres of diesel just to keep generators running at anchor or to spew out diesel fumes in harbour. Now, Maggi has over 3 decades of experience. Actually, I know him quite well and I have a lot of respect for him. He comes from Ancona, where the WIDER Shipyard is located, and previously he co-founded the neighbouring Isa yard and also worked with the nearby CRN shipyard. The first new model that the shipyard will be building is the WIDER 180. Now, this will reflect many of the features of her predecessors, including that hybrid propulsion, but it will use 2 inline variable speed generators along with azimuthal pods. This will give the option to run on diesel, on battery power, or both. The flexibility of this system allows the boat's power management system to assess the energy needed and to produce only the required level of power. This results in a reduced fuel consumption and actually really quite an impressive range. The azimuthal pods, on the other hand, give a number of additional advantages. Now, this includes a shallower draft and lower noise and vibration. In fact, both the 150 and the 165 set records with RENA, gaining a perfect score for sound and vibration levels and also receiving a Platinum Green Award for their eco-credentials. Like its older sisters, the 180 will be able to cruise in almost complete silence, running on battery power, which is great for overnight travel and for operating the hotel system when in harbour without producing harmful emissions from the generators. It can also be used to give a speed boost when the boat is running at full power on diesel. And while the 165 can run for 5 or 6 hours at 5 knots, the 180 will be able to operate emission-free silent cruising by battery power for 10 hours at 6 knots. Running under diesel, her top speed will be 16 knots, and at a cruising speed of 12.5 knots, her range will be 5,000 nautical miles, increasing to 7,700 at 9 knots. All of the onboard energy sources will be controlled by the WIDER power management system. This is a smart and fully integrated system that controls the power supplied by the shore connection, the generators, and the batteries, and then distributes it between the hotel requirements, the propulsion system, and recharging the batteries. Now, being able to run almost silently on battery mode is going to be fantastic for giving guests a peaceful night and also for making nighttime passages or early morning change of anchorage, as well as a quiet operation of the hotel suite while at anchor. Another advantage of hybrid propulsion is that the power room doesn't have to be positioned next to the propeller shafts in the middle of the yacht, and that gives great flexibility for the internal layout. Designed by Andrea Vallicelli and Sea Yacht Design, the WIDER 180 will be built in high tensile steel with an aluminium superstructure. The interior has been created by the in-house Centro Stile of WIDER. Her design features an impressive 80 square metre full beam owner's stateroom with a private sea terrace, 4 ensuite guest staterooms, and a further 7 crew twins and a captain's cabin. There'll be an elegant lift to connect the 3 decks and a large professional galley, perfect for hosting dinners and parties. Now, as with the other WIDERs, one of the standout features of the 180 will be a huge beach club, which will open up to an impressive 160 square metres of space, where you can sunbathe, relax, swim in the saltwater pool, and just generally enjoy your time on the water. Now, when it's not in use, this area will adapt to open up and take in the WIDER 32 tender through its floating launch system. Or the space can also be used as a full beam lounge, since there are platforms stored in the roof that can be brought down to cover the pool. Now let's take a look at the WIDER 135, a yacht that has been entirely designed in-house by WIDER. Again, one of her standout features will be a sizable beach club, which will open up to provide 90 square metres of relaxation space right on the water, together with an infinity pool. There'll be a second relaxation and sunbathing area on the foredeck, and here there's the option for a jacuzzi to be fitted. There'll also be a storage space for 2 jet skis and a 5-metre tender at the bow, together of course with a crane to launch it. The 135 has been designed to be light and airy with full height windows on the upper deck, giving 360-degree views. Then there'll be a full beam master stateroom in the bow with a private terrace overlooking the sea, together with a separate office, also with full height windows. In total, the private owner's area adds up to 50 square metres. That's a remarkably good size for a 135-foot boat. Again, thought has been put into the creation of privacy, with a good separation of the owners and the crew's areas. Exterior side wings to allow the crew to move around the yacht as easily as possible without disturbing the guests. With 4 guest staterooms located at the stern of the lower deck, another nice feature is the private direct access from the guest staterooms to the beach club. The power system on this yacht is housed in the middle of the lower deck, and then further forward there are the crew quarters. Now, this is in accordance with Red Ensign group requirements that the crew are well catered for, with 3 twin cabins, a good-sized captain's cabin and a good crew mess. As with the 180, the 135 will be powered by serial hybrid propulsion and azimuthal pods and will have a top speed of 16 knots. Now at a cruising speed of 12.5 knots, her range will be up to 2,600 nautical miles, and at 8 knots it'll be 4,700 nautical miles. Then, when in zero emission mode, she'll be able to run on batteries for silent cruising for 4 hours at 6 knots. That's a great feature for enabling peaceful early morning change of anchorages without the need to start the generators. Well, as you can see, I'm not filming this vlog in my usual office setting, and that's because I'm still on a Caribbean trip with my film crew in which we've been filming a host of video content, some of which I hope will be released around about the time that this vlog is published. When I get back to Europe though, I have a meeting with WIDER and we'll be discussing ways in which we can use this YouTube channel to keep my viewers more informed on just what's going on there. If you want to win a super yacht to the value of $10 million, then click here to subscribe to my channel. You'll join an increasing number of people who all have that dream. Click here to watch an exciting walkthrough video of a super yacht, and don't forget to check out the merchandise on the link below.